Hey y'all, this is Judy from Patterns for Pirates, and I'm going to go over some important sizing information to help you pick your size and get a custom fit that you're going to be happy with the new Palm Springs swimsuit. This advice really goes for any one-piece swimsuit though, so if you're sewing up a one-piece swimsuit or a bodysuit for the first time and you're a little overwhelmed with picking your size, making sure it's the right length for you, fit you all throughout your body, this is the video for you. Okay, so first you're gonna go through measure yourself. You always want to measure what measurements they have in the chart. So for the Palm Springs, I have the over bust, which is around your chest, over your bust. You're not getting any of your bust in there. Then you're going to take your full bust, which is the biggest part around the apex of your bust, and then your under bust, which is like where your band would be for a bra or sports bra, right around your ribs, just under your bust. Your waist, which is the very smallest part of you between your ribs and your belly button. And then next is your full hip, which is the biggest part around your booty. When I'm measuring myself, I always like to do it in front of a mirror. It helps make sure that you're getting, the tape measure around yourself in all the correct ways. It's not twisted, it's not falling anywhere. It also helps to make sure, like on your hip, are you really getting the fullest part of yourself? I always look in the mirror when I'm doing it if you don't have anyone there to help you, okay? Those are all the girth measurements or width measurements, okay? All of those, you're just going to pick your size that correlates with the size chart. So for myself, I'm in between a small and a medium over bust. I'm a medium full bust, a small under bust, a small waist, and a large full hip. And so I will grade my pattern like that. Usually I'm okay with just doing a medium on the top, since I'm kind of in between that small and medium. I do grade in for my under bust, or I at least use the smaller elastic on the shelf bra for my under bust. One thing you have to keep in mind on those width measurements is that you have to step into the Palm Springs swimsuit. So if you're like me and you're a little bit bigger on the bottom than you are on the top, you have to make sure you can step into those elastics. So the over bust here and the under bust here, if you are, I'm 2 sizes away. If you're 2 or more sizes away, you're gonna want to cut the elastic out, sew it into a circle, and make sure you can get it on, okay? Same goes for little ones. My daughter has a size 7 full hip, and her waist is like a size 2 on the measurement chart, and I never grade her waist that small because she can't get that elastic over her full hip. So what I do is I hold it around her full hip snugly up to her waist, and I find where it can be at least a little bit snug on her waist but still get over her booty. Pretty much do that to myself as well, just to make sure I can get that small under bust elastic over my hips without it being a wrestling match. Let's go into the vertical measurements. These are always much harder for people to get accurately, especially on themselves. This is something where you must make sure your total picture of your body is making sense, okay? The patterns are drafted for 5'5", all sizes on the adult. The youth, of course, gets taller and taller. But I have it broken down from side waist, which is under your armpit, not all the way up in your armpit, but like where your bra would be at your armpit, down to your natural waist as one measurement, side measurement, and then from your waist to your full hip as another measurement. And those are really important, but they are also difficult to take. If you are not taller than 5'5", most likely you don't need to add any length. If you take those measurements, say your side waist, and you think it's coming up 2 inches longer, that only works if you're 2 inches shorter somewhere else. So your waist to hip, are you shorter than the size chart? Is your inseam shorter than the size chart? Otherwise, that total picture isn't making sense, that you need added length when you're not any taller. Does that make sense? So if you're taller proportionally somewhere than the chart, which some people have longer torsos, shorter legs, longer legs, shorter torsos, just make sure that's all adding up to your total height. And so like me, I am much taller than the size chart. I'm almost 5'10", and it's drafted for 5'5". So I have to find 5 inches somewhere from my head to the floor to add. My measurements, I add an inch from the side waist, an inch from the waist to the hip, and then I add an 1.5 inches to my knee, and then another 1.5 inches if I want it all the way to the floor. Okay, and only an inch if I want it to my ankle, I think. I have to think about that one. But all together, that's 1, 2, 3.5, 5 to the floor. That's not adding any above here. Okay, so pretty even out, right? That's 5 inches from my armpit to the floor. Now, realistically, I probably have a tiny bit from my armpit to my head. Maybe 1/4 inch here, right? But overall, I'm adding 5 inches to my total height to make my 5'10" height from the 5'5". If you're 5 foot, you'll be doing the opposite, right? You'll be taking away a total of 5 inches from wherever you're finding it. Mine are pretty dang proportional, and which makes it easy for me, taking from my whole body this way, you know, halfway point, you know, have half up tall and half below. But you might not be as proportional. You just want to make sure that entire picture that you're painting of yourself makes sense. You don't want to add 3 inches in your torso, not take 3 inches away anywhere else, and you are shorter than what it's drafted for. It just doesn't make sense. So you just want to make sure that your total picture is making sense. Okay? There's a lot of measurements you can take to check besides side waist and waist to hip. You also want to do your inseam. There's another one that's total trunk. I usually include that in things like one-piece swimsuits and bodysuits. Sometimes the total trunk can really knock people off, but what total trunk is you start on your shoulder, you go through your legs, up under your legs, back to your shoulder. You do not need to go along every curve. It's kind of pulled snug. It's a vertical measurement, and that will give you your total trunk. Okay, so that will also tell you if you are longer in the torso and you're going to need to add length, or if you're shorter in your total torso and you need to take it away. But once again, it should make sense with your body type, and your height. If you think, that really doesn't make sense, I'm shorter than what this pattern is drafted for, and yet I'm measuring longer. The measurements are hard to take sometimes by yourself. I would try out the pattern based on your height and your experience with ready wear. So let's say every one-piece swimsuit you try on you feel is too short in the body, probably makes sense that you need to add a little length. If every swimsuit you try on from the store fits fine in the length, you probably don't need to add any, okay? So don't make it too overly complicated. Make sure everything is making sense all in one big picture, and you'll be good to go, okay? There's two ways that you can add or take away length. One is you can find the size that matches the total trunk for you and grade to that length. Or you can just look at all of your measurements, decide how much you want to take out, and take out from the front and the back, okay? Personally, I just add my normal length that I always add, 1 inch from the bust to the waist, 1 inch from the waist to the hip, and I call it a day because that's how I add to all of my patterns that I always do. So I do the slash and spread method instead of grading to the next size. Okay. Grading between sizes on width is the same as any other pattern. I have the waist marked, and I do have the hip marked. The hip is a little bit difficult on a swimsuit because really the legs kind of come up, and the width is how much booty coverage you have. So you might think it looks really low on the pattern because the legs come up above where your actual hip is. Okay, so it might look a little off. A lot of times, if you want more booty coverage and you're a size up, I would say grade. You can get away with not grading if you don't want more booty coverage. I've done it both ways in the past where I have not graded for my larger booty. It fits more like a ready to wear. And if I grade for my booty, I do have more coverage. So if you're looking for coverage and your booty hits a bigger size, I would say go ahead and grade for it. I give myself the bigger legs all the way around because my legs are also a little bit bigger, just like my booty. If you have a bigger hip size but not bigger thighs, you just have to try it on and see which one you like. Do you like the more booty coverage and the looser legs, or would you rather keep it smaller with less booty coverage and the more fitted legs? It's just something you'll have to try out. One thing I do suggest is sewing up just the lining, whether you're doing a youth or an adult, but especially an adult. Sew up the lining and slip it on and see how it fits. Now remember that adding in elastics and the bands on the Palm Springs swimsuit are going to change the fit, but you will get a basic idea of where the underbust is going to hit you, where the waist is hitting you, where the legs are hitting you. Are you happy with the fit? Okay, know that the legs will change a little bit when you add the bands and the elastic. The top will change a little bit adding the bands and the elastic or the straps. But you can still get a basic, how tight is it? Where's the underbust seam hitting me if you're going to add in the shelf bra? And that will save you from cutting your main fabric until you're ready. Okay, so cut just your lining out, sew or baste it up, and slip it on. See how it is. If you want to make changes, you can make changes and then cut out your main fabric according to those changes. Just a little tip if you are new and you're still figuring out all of your personal adjustments for swimsuits. I hope this helps, and I can't wait to see your Palm Springs swimsuit if you sew it up. Don't forget to share with us. Bye, y'all.